Welcome back to Raw Politics. We are here discussing the political tensions in parts of Southeast St. Andrew when they told me in my ears just before we took the break that there was a development in that constituency. Well, the news is that we have it on good authority that the office manager of the JLP organization in Southeast St. Andrew in Woodford Park, a lady, has been shot. We gather that she is at the Kingston Public Hospital. She's alive. How serious is her condition? We don't know. But what we can tell you, that there's another incident in parts of Southeast St. Andrew tonight. A JLP activist, she's being referred to as an office manager of Joan Gordon Webley, that she was shot. Exactly where in Woodford Park, we don't know. But that is what we know so far. So here we are talking about this Julian Robinson, and this news hits us. You know, it has to be cauterized. It has to be cauterized. I mean, this is, I spent most of my morning in Woodford Park, actually. We had one of our supporters who lives on Dames Road, her entire house, the inside of the house was painted in JLP graffiti. So I was with her for most of the morning. That's Joy Rodney? Joy Rodney. This is very troubling news, if this report is correct, that somebody was shot in Woodford Park. As I mentioned before, the area has seen a number of incidents. This is certainly an escalation. We don't know the circumstances, so I don't want to jump to any conclusion, but it is of grave concern. It is of grave concern. I suppose people might be asking, why Woodford Park in particular? I think if you look at geography, there's a section of Woodford Park which has strong Labour Party support. If you take the upper part of Anderson Road, areas, Goose Track and 20 Anderson Road, strong Labour Party support. Below Dames Road, further down Anderson Road and Hope Street, Arundel, Moore, you know, there's been more support for the People's National Party. That's to the side closer to Central Kingston? Correct, yeah. Woodford Park has about 1,600 votes, you know, so I in a sense, I don't know if there is a bit of a fight on. Well, I don't want to say a fight, because a fight has... A struggle. Well, I don't know. Political struggle. Well, I don't know if it's a struggle, because a struggle, but a fight has to be two ways, and we are certainly not engaged in a fight. You don't expect anybody to believe that? No, no. We are going about doing our campaigning. We are seeking support. We know where our support is. We're doing everything. But are you suggesting, Julian Robinson, in all seriousness, that the incidents we've had in Woodford Park coming from one side? No, I'm not saying they're coming from one side, because the reality of any community, if there are persons within a community who feel threatened, provoked, they're going to respond, right? That is a reality. That has nothing to do with politics per se, right? So I'm not going to say it is one-sided, but I can state categorically that the section of the community which is more supportive of the People's National Party has not been the aggressors over the last couple of weeks. And I'm sure if Dwight Nelson were here, he would tell me the same thing, that we are not the aggressors, we are the victims. Well, our supporters have been shot. Not been the aggressors. Oh. Well, their supporters have been shot. The question is, shot by whom? And those questions... By JLP supporters? I'm not saying that, but those questions haven't been answered yet. The police investigation is still not complete, right? And up to now, there hasn't been any definitive determination of how those persons were shot. But at the end of the day, what is going to be done now? Because the political leaders, Maxine, Portia Simpson-Miller, Bruce Golding on Monday, issued a statement calling on all their supporters in the clearest of terms, please do not engage in slander, libel, any act of intimidation. They could not be clearer. Yes? And before the ink was dried, we went off into incidents in West Road, St. Andrew, parts of Southeast St. Andrew, parts of Clarendon, even your own boss, the General Secretary, on the platform last night in Morant Bay,
using language which is very inflammatory. So it seems like we're just losing our heads.
Well, there are two things that have to happen. I think there is criminality, right, which the police must deal with, right? I don't think we must mask criminality around a political campaign.
Absolutely.
People with illegal guns who are shooting each other, the police must intervene. Now, I think in some communities, politicians exert some control, I won't tell you all, over some of their supporters, and there has to be a genuine commitment, publicly, privately, right, on the part of politicians to encourage their supporters not to retaliate, not to engage in any activity which is going to intimidate, coerce, or force people to do anything against their will. That has to be genuine, right? But I think we must not, there's too much of what is happening that I think is just criminality, which there's an expectation that politicians can resolve. And I'm not sure that politicians have even started it.
But what about politicians being responsible in what they say?
I absolutely think there should be. There should be, absolutely.
And there's enough from both sides for the political leaders to really impose their will.
Yeah, I think there is some cause for some concern of some of the statements that have been made. And,
there was a sense earlier in the year that Maxine Henry Wilson, the MP, was behind in southeastern Tangier. Has she closed that gap?
I think not only, well, there was a poll that was done which I think showed her in a statistical dead heat, if you take out the margin of error, the one done by Bill Johnson. I'm confident that since that poll, we have gained ground. The MP has been very active on the ground. I think persons recognize the things that she has done, the achievements she has done over the last 4.5 years.
Achievements?
Yeah, significant. I gave you one of those.
You can talk to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you start with infrastructure, right? If you see those wonderful buildings in Monaltree, which is a direct result of the representation.
That's a housing project?
The housing project, the inner city housing project. It arose from a fire in that community 2 years ago, where over 300 persons were displaced, and a member of parliament made representation for that to happen. We're looking at doing the same thing in Swallowfield. We have some issues in terms of identifying enough land, but we are moving down that course. If you take education, and not because she's the Minister of Education, but she has used education as the key platform for the transformation of the communities within our constituency. We have looked at improving the physical plant, because people can't learn in an environment if you don't have the basic things. So we have refurbished a number of schools, basic, high, etc. But not just refurbish the schools.
In one school, needs some refurbishing.
Well, there was a block.
Plug for my school.
Yeah, and you know, we have to take it in stages. The Excelsior Primary School, a new block was built there. And I know there have been some developments at other schools as well. But there's a lot that has been done.
The science labs are in desperate need of...
And I know as an alumni, you are contributing to that.
Yes.
To that, yeah,
yes, and we'd love some help from
the ministry.
The state.
Yeah, sure.
Good. Let me tell you the breaking story. The office manager, the female office manager for Joan Gordon-Webley, the GLP candidate in southeastern Tangier, she was shot sometime this evening. We now know that she was shot on Anderson Road in the constituency. You were just speaking about Anderson Road.
Yeah.
It's one of those roads where you're, again, mixed.
Very mixed. I'd be very interested to find out where on Anderson Road.
Yes.
I mean, that would tell me a lot. But, I mean, regardless of where, it's a very unfortunate incident. It's something that needs to be condemned, and I certainly condemn it, and we do. And I hope that the police will get to the bottom of it very quickly. Because if it is left out there unresolved, it is easy to form a conclusion about who may have been the perpetrators.
Yeah. Well, all political trivia now. The answer, or first the question. How many general elections have been held in Jamaica since universal adult suffrage in 1944? Well, the answer, 14. 14 general elections since universal adult suffrage. These include the snap election of December 1983, when the then opposition, PNP, refused to nominate candidates because the voters list was outdated and would have disenfranchised more than 150,000 young people of voting age. Well, that's our program for this evening. Here we are talking about southeastern Tangier when the news came in. of another incident. Julian Robinson, you have a lot of work to do.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
Good, good. Well, please do join us again, same time, same place, next Monday night at 10. Okay? And the lady who was shot, her name, Sandra,